Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward. Tremors.
Special episode.
Is it?
For a couple reasons. One, we're together. Always special.
Back together again.
Get out of there. We're back together again.
It's funny when I do it.
Damn it. Another reason it is special is because of the movie we'll be talking about
The
today.
film. The fine film.
I apologize.
Yes. We've been talking about doing this film for a long time, really since the inception of the show. Because the show started with us comparing our top 10 favorite movies with one another. My high-quality, tasteful selection.
God is building out there the shuttle. And you sit here feeling sorry for yourself because you are not him.
And yours. And Tremors, speaking of high quality and tasteful,
I'm shocked.
narrowly misses my top 10.
Where do you put it?
Oh, I don't know. It's like in 11 to 15. I love it. I love Tremors.
Not enough.
And I've always wanted to. No, it's true. I've always wanted to talk about it, and I think it's super fun. And then finding out that, like, so many films, you've never seen it.
Yes.
That makes it.
Just leave me alone.
No, I'm never going to stop calling attention to it. I think that makes it tremendously fun. And I'm genuinely curious what you thought. Should we just start there? Let's break right in.
I just watched it minutes ago.
For the first time, he was sitting here on the hotel bed.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
So it's fresh. It's fresh for me.
California King, one bed.
Come on. It's a twin. It's a twin.
We go to hotels and request bunks. Do you guys have bunk beds?
Dude, where's your bunk bed policy?
You don't need permission from us to build bunk beds. You're adults. You can do what you want.
So...
I need a square set, a TV set, and a Nintendo 64.
Yes. If it has race car wheels on the bottom, that's optional. It's optional.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
You just watched Tremors.
Tremors. This is a movie that makes me wish movies were made this way now. Is the highest compliment I think I could pay this film. I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
I think it's really fun. It's a little scary. It's funny at times.
Yeah, it's funny.
The performances are great. The performances are having a good time, but not like to the point where it detracts from like they're in character, but like to the edge. You know, it's just the story's what it needs to be. Like it executes. I don't want to say it executes on all levels because it's not a perfect film. It's not like the greatest film ever made. But it's like exactly what it needs to be. And when people talk about films, I keep picking on all of the Warner Brother films, but those films that like turn your brain off and just have fun and don't overthink it and that kind of thing. That's what this movie is like at its. It's the best version of that type of movie, or one of the best versions of that type of movie. And I mean that as a real compliment.
Yeah.
So
We accept your compliment. As a people.
As a people,
Yes.
we accept. But I just saw this movie 30 seconds ago. I just finished it. You've seen this movie, I assume, when it came out or close to when it came out?
Yeah, I actually have strange, like, really early memories of Tremors, and it was me sneaking out into the family room.
Yeah.
When I was probably about, I guess if the film came out in 90, it had to have been when I was like 6. And I remember my dad watching it and laughing a lot in the other room, and liking it a lot. So I was intrigued. I knew I wasn't allowed to be in there. So I like crept in and peeked around the corner, and I caught like the very end, where like literally the very end, where one of the slug flies off the cliff and explodes. And I was scarred. I was like, oh my God, this is the gross. I shouldn't have seen this.
Yeah.
Like, this is why kids aren't allowed to watch like grown-up movies. That was so disgusting. What did I just watch? And it was really terrifying, but it was also really intriguing. Yeah. And then I remember asking my dad about it, and him being like, that movie's a lot of fun. Like, Tremors, that's a good time.
Yeah.
Like, and 1990 still being early enough where like, this is almost a family movie. Like, Culturally, it was enough of still almost a family movie back then that my dad was like, you see it in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so I think he rented it for me when I was probably like 8 or 9, and then I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
There's so much to love, but just as a kid was like the scariness, but then like the really clever profanity.
What the shit?
Like the fun way these people interacted.
I'm a victim of circumstance.
I thought you'd call it your pecker.
It felt very like, oh, these are all like grown-ups.
Yeah.
Like real people grown-ups. Like Fred Ward always kind of reminded me of my dad. Like there was just...
Probably on purpose. I think that's his role, the paternal role of that film.
So it was just a great time, and I've watched it, you know, I during my 20s, I probably watched it 6 times a year.
Yeah.
And then now I'll put it on every year or two and really enjoy it and sing its praises to whoever will listen.
No one. I'm forced to, but I think it's interesting you just touched on it's a movie for kids. And it's not a movie for kids, but it's a movie. It's such an interesting, like I can't even articulate it, but it's this like perfect sweet spot.
It's a movie for 80s kids.
If like that's a movie if my daughter was like at that age, you don't like push her into it. But if she does watch it, you're not like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
like,
she's ruined.
She shouldn't have seen that. It's like, that's like the perfect. That's like taking the training wheels off of a film, and it's another type of. It's another example of a type of film that just doesn't. I don't think exists anymore. Where it's all neutered and completely family friendly.
Yeah, it does not pander to children while still being really appealing.
Kids can get like and feel like mature.
Yes.
Like I'm growing up now.
Yeah.
And it's that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where if it's done today, it's either hard R or a cartoon.
Slipping on banana peels.
Yeah, where it's just like nuts. This is a nice sweet spot in a couple different ways.
Yeah. And which is really interesting. We're starting in an interesting place because it's one of my criticisms of the film now. On my most recent rewatch.
What is?
Something adjacent to this, which is there are several points of the film where it's very obvious that they dubbed it to remove profanity later. So he says mother humpers.
Yep.
Be advised, however, there are 2 more mother humpers. And
there's one other really obvious fuck was removed.
Can you fly, you sucker?
And I don't know how I never really noticed that stuff because I'm really sensitive to that stuff normally. And so I hate when films do that. Like you made an R-rated movie and then they made you pull it back. And in an article I just read, the director and the writers were really happy that they decided to do that because they said they made it more of like a family a kind of film that families can watch.
Yeah.
And that helped it in so many ways and has helped build its longevity and its cult classic status. And so I guess you take the bad with the good.
I hate to hear it because it gives studios like, see, we need to
this
neuter.
is like one example.
It's successful, it's cult, like we need to bring everything down and wash it down. And
well, and the irony was the film wasn't even successful out of the gate. So like it didn't really make a huge difference, but I'm sure it helped the VHS sales and rentals surge when people were like, oh yeah, you kids can see that.
With over $15 million at the box office, it's bound to be a monster hit on video. Get ready for Tremors.
Like that's how we started this episode, is talking about how like it's this really special, like treading that line.
Yeah.
And so clearly they made the right decision, but then they should have shot it like that, so no one's saying mother humpers with their voice, with their mouth doing the.
So it was released that way. That wasn't like it was released with the F-bombs in it, and then
they shot it. They shot it with all the F-bombs, and then the MPAA was like, "Oh, this is R," and then they said, "We'll scale it back to just that one all-time great F-bomb." My favorite use of "fuck you" of all time.
Fuck you!
Like it's great. Kevin Bacon. We'll talk. We'll talk about him. He has so much great stuff. It's so many great profanity line delivers in this film.
What the hell's going on? I mean, what the hell is going on?
There's too much son of a bitch. There's too much. I think it's like if you had a drinking game.
Sons of bitches. Little sons of bitches. Bitch.
Son of a bitch!
By act
Every
two,
time
you're
somebody
fucked
says son
up.
of a bitch,
Yeah,
son of a
yeah.
bitch.
They say a lot. And I like it, but it's a lot.
I'm a goddamn bitch. Pardon my French. Shit.
They say almost everything. Like they use bastard in there some good times.
Yeah.
They really go for it.
We run like goddamn bastards. Pardon my French.
They do.
And I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I like the energy. I like the energy of the film.
One of the best lines is Fred Ward says something like,
We did it, we faced temptation and did not bend. Goddamn, praise the Lord.
that's like the funniest thing I've ever heard. That's like a layer of deeper. You know, like it's funny.
Yeah.
It's blasphemous, which I like. I really like that kind of humor.
Yeah. It's subtle.
Yeah.
It's subtle. And character
Yes.
develop it. You know,
Yes.
like you get
Pardon my
like
French.
insight. Yeah, you
Yeah.
get insight into these characters.
Yeah.
I do think you get, I mean, here's where I'll go next because you talked about Kevin Bacon. I do think another strength of the film, the world seems lived in.
Yes.
And I think that's because of the characters. And I think it's the performances. I think they do such a good job welcoming the audience into their world.
Yes.
And maybe it's a lot to do with the writing. Maybe the writing's part of it as well.
The writing's very good.
But the performances feels like you know these people very quickly.
Yeah.
And the dialogue that they say, how they say things, the words they use, the misphrases and like,
Yep.
you know, inside language for them, like all leads to a consistent direction.
Yeah.
Which it's not just like a clever one-liner for this of a writer being like, you know what's funny? We're gonna put this line in here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very purposeful throughout. Again, I don't mean to, I'm like over dramatizing it. Dramatizing?
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 What are you over dramatizing?
I've lost my train of thought.
Like how
of how
impressive it is?
elegant this is, of how
No,
like,
but it is.
But
it is.
But
in
it's
comparison.
Yeah, to do like it does what it, that's what I'm saying. Like it does what it needs to do. It's not like high art.
Yeah.
It just does it intelligently.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Yeah, it's not entirely unlike, and I'm making this up in real time, but I feel like we had a similar conversation maybe about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, same year, 1990. Same kind of idea. Well, obviously that was more kid targeted, but still not like pandering to children, not being really goofy and stupid and woo, all. There's a little bit of that. But the fact that even like, let's say a film like this, which would be considered, like you said earlier, like kind of one of those turn off your brain movies today, just good, clean popcorn fun, go have some laughs and a couple thrills. Like back at that time, they still went through the motions to really take care of the writing, character development, having some sort of a story arc, even though your story is just like mysterious underground worm monsters are attacking people in a deserted or a derelict town. Like there's still a lot of care being put in the craft of the film, and that's the stuff that really shines through and makes it so that people are talking about it 30 years later. Like it's really, really impressive.
It's the reason I didn't hate it. Like, and not being attached to it as a kid, because I assume if it gets you early, you're locked in.
Yeah.
But I watch it now and I go, yeah, that's fun. Like I go along with that ride because of exactly what you're saying.
Well, you look at the first scene. I thought this on this most recent rewatch. The way they introduce Val and Earl, where they're out in the prairie and they're sleeping in the back of the truck, and he does the stampede thing, and they're arguing about who's gonna make breakfast. All that's over the opening credits. By the time the opening credits are done, you know both of these characters, you completely understand their dynamic, and you really like both of them. Minute and a half, 2 minutes, like that's a wrap, guys. Like when's the last time I know a broken record about new films. There's still new films that come out that are great. There's still new films that'll come out that are great, but a movie like this, like imagine like a summer monster movie coming out today. Do you think that there'd be 2 minutes in that film that you're like, oh, I understand, I love it, I'm in.
No.
That's not totally force-feeding, trying super hard. The dialogue is realistic, they're joking and genuinely funny.
I ask you, this is a job for intelligent men. Show me one, I'll ask him.
And then they go meet the girl. And then you learn more about their characters in that right away. Okay, Val chases stupid women. Fred Ward Earl is kind of this father figure to him, wanting what's best for him, looking out for him. You find out about his type. He's shallow, he's superficial. They meet this girl. And then in a minute of her being on screen, you're like, okay, I understand her. She's kind of nerdy, but she's sweet. Just all that stuff. And you're like, okay, I get these three main characters right away. Now people start dying, but I'm invested. I care because these people are awesome.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that in years.
I hate to continue to be the old man that I am, but I'm an old man. So
we are who we are.
You got to deal with it.
Go fuck yourself.
My stars. I think about movies when you force me to watch these relics. I think about, okay, how is this movie done today? I don't know why, but my mind would always go, what's the equivalent of today? This movie today starts with the worm coming out of a hole, a big, bloody, gory scene. If they're going to take it in that direction, it's going to be for kids. It'll be obviously more toned down. But it's going to be a big, impactful, like, that's the monster. It's coming to get you. This is what we have to focus on. This is what you're afraid of. This is it. It's going to be more focused on that.
Yeah.
And hooking you with gore or fear rather than story and human connection and character development.
That's the best thing about this film, I think. I think there's a lot of really great things. And I think the best thing, if you had to pick one, is that it is so character focused. It's not monster focused.
Right.
You don't even know where these monsters come from. You don't give any backstory. Couple loose hypotheses, but that's more in service of their characters that are giving those hypotheses. Like what tells more about them.
Yep. Be a snake. Some kind of mutation.
The whole movie is focused on character. And so as a viewer, you are locked into them and you're paying attention to their stories. And you're just, like I'll say again, you're just invested in what is happening to these people that you like, and not the CGI details of where these worms come from. Or like
it's not the spectacle.
It doesn't matter.
Of the worm.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where they came from.
That's what, if I walked into Warner Brothers and I pitched this film, they're going to be like, great, how are we going to do this worm? Like, what's that? Yeah. The spectacle becomes the story in today's world. And in the old days, in the good times, the main characters were the story, the relationships that they built, the story, their journey, their arc, how the characters grow over these 3 acts, the lesson that they learn, how they are better for going through this journey. That's the investment, rooting for your heroes.
Yes.
You don't want to just see a bug get destroyed because, man, that's fucking cool,
That was really cool.
That was so cool. It was so awesome to see. Like, at the end when they exploded and everywhere's covered, and that's what people go to see movies for. And that's what studios shove down our throats, and that makes me sad. It makes me sad.
Well, an irony there is like you get that in Tremors to an extent eventually, but it takes a while.
Sure.
Because then it all means more by waiting. It's the same Jaws kind of theory where you don't see it until the end. You see this monster throughout, but then the other irony...
Not throughout, they do build to it a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, because at first you only see the tentacle. At first you don't see him at all.
Then you
see the tentacles,
then you see that.
Those
shot, like, which I want to talk about the director in a second too.
But then once you do see them, they are feats of engineering. And that makes them more interesting. Like you can picture the Tremor, one of those creatures, so clearly with the design, and I've watched, like behind the scenes documentaries and stuff, and that they get a guy inside this phallic suit, and then they bury him alive for like up to an hour in these trenches that they've dug so that he can like yank up with it. And then they're engineering all the slime and and it's like that's the movie magic. Like people go to see movies to see things that you can't otherwise see. But when you go see it in the movie, it's all just CGI. You can see that in a video game. You can see that in anything. Like, it's not magical. It doesn't make you. It doesn't inspire any curiosity or I guess same old point.
Yeah, we've said this many times, but
but you guys still aren't listening, so I will continue to repeat myself.
I agree. Even though, again, for me on my only watch in 2023, it's not like perfect. I'm not. It takes a little bit away from it a little bit, but I'm so invested in everything else that I'm here for the journey.
Yeah.
You've sold me on the journey, and I'm glad to go along with it. And that's all I could ask from any movie.
For sure.
Just take me along with you. Don't lose me at easy checkpoints where it's like, oh, this doesn't matter to anyone. I'll forgive you.
At least you're trying.
Yeah, at least.
Because that's an interesting point. Is like if your special effects have moments of weakness, let's say, whatever your film is, would you rather those moments of weakness are the way they are in Tremors or the way they are in The Gray Man, where Ryan Gosling's coming out of the sky.
Don't.
No, but you know that's bad CGI. We've agreed on that point.
And what the 160 cameras does for us is make a photogrammetry per frame mesh of Ryan's entire body and his face.
Which basically photoreal captures Ryan's face and allows us to put that on a digi-double as he's falling through the air. So you're really seeing Ryan's face.
I agree on nothing.
Like, that is awful. That's awful. Wouldn't you rather, at least I can see what they were like.
I'm going to agree with the general point you're trying to make, not your specific example.
Because The Gray Man.
The Gray Man is the hill I will die on. Yeah. It's like...
It's the best film of the year.
It's one of the better action films of this generation. And that's saying poorly about this generation of action films. That's not what we're talking about at this moment in time. But I would take... Because because that is effort. I can imagine, I don't know 100%, but I can imagine the effort that you're describing. Putting them to, maybe it takes 3 guys to operate that one thing. We got to dig 12-foot trenches to make this work. Like, the effort that it takes to put this on. I felt the same way, and I didn't love this film, Last of the Mohicans. I just, the first film that popped in my head when we were talking about it, I didn't love the film, but the fucking scope of it, from a filmmaking standpoint, I'm like, oh, Jesus, my hat is off to you.
1,000 people out here.
1,000 people, and all of these practical effects and practical explosions that you're timing out. Perfect, like the effort and the detail, the precautions, like everything that has to go into it to make that's movie magic.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing that's just even done. Do you want to say anything about Kevin Bacon while we're talking about performances? And
I think Kevin Bacon does amazing. It's no secret that he was really disappointed in his agent and in his life at this stage, that he found himself working on a giant Worms Underground movie.
After Footloose came out, I had a series of leading roles that just all bombed. My career was really like close to ending.
We in fact did not know that he was nervous about the movie. Not sure at all he should be doing a movie with rubber monsters.
And then the movie comes out and it was kind of a failure. So it wasn't immediately rewarding, But I think Kevin Bacon does a really great job. I think he really embodies this role with such, like, for someone who is disappointed to be there, you never get that vibe. He's really invested. Him and Fred Ward. Fred Ward is maybe my favorite part. I fucking love that character. He's just such a good time. Like, he so epitomizes a certain type of man in the 1980s that, like, I just reckon, like, I can smell him. Like, I just remember him. My dad or friends of my dad, like these guys that come over and be kind of rugged and have the short beard and just like, winking at you and drinking a beer in the garage and just like these fucking, these titans of my youth.
These titans.
So I just love his warmth and energy.
What does he smell like?
Cigarettes.
Hard. Easy. Cigarettes.
Yes.
Whiskey?
Cigarettes. More like that like musky, like cigarettes and like
loose women?
Yes. Yes.
Don't matter. They're all the same. Dead weight. Ooh, I broke a nail.
That, exactly. You get it. You understand.
Yeah.
You had men like this in your life too. And so I just love I just love everything about him. He's one of my favorite parts. And then I think it was really always fascinating to see Michael Gross and Reba McEntire. I remember my dad making a really big deal about Reba McEntire being in it, and him being like, she's a big deal. Like, this movie's got Reba McEntire. She was huge. She's an icon.
I was surprised. I was like, that's Reba McEntire. Like,
her first role.
That was her first role. I did.
Yeah.
Another thing
launched
I did
her acting portion of her career.
Interesting.
But she does great. And then Michael Gross was the dad in Family Ties.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing anybody knew him as. He was sort of like, and he was like soft.
What, this old thing?
Oh, no, it's a great color for you.
Well, I just grabbed the first thing in the closet, really.
And really like an intellectual, like old liberal guy. Like in that.
You're a very sensitive, caring father and husband. Makes me want you even more.
I see.
And then in this, he's the complete opposite. And it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great part.
He's a good actor. Like, that is a mark of a good actor. Yeah. You nail a role. People know you as that, and you're like, nope, I flipped that switch, and because he's totally viable.
Yeah.
Hit them too. I think the ensemble nature of it, I think, works really hard. Your two leads at the top are great, but everybody underneath really supports everything and makes this town and world seem very real. So I think that's one of the best parts of the film.
I agree. I'm a big Miguel guy. I like Miguel.
I chuckled a couple times thinking about you liking him.
I like him. The way that Fred Ward reminded me of like my dad's friends in the garage, Miguel reminded me of like my uncle, like my great uncle. Like they're just to see at Christmases. It's like dressed exactly the same. I love it.
You want to talk about things that I didn't like, or not even didn't like?
The downsides,
nitpicks,
sure.
Things that I think are
I have a couple
silly.
Forever, I always said this was like a perfect film, and I meant that just for like in the for what it is vein.
Category, yeah.
Where it's like for what it is, this movie is perfect. And there's a couple things that I take very slight issue with now, but they're very slight, so I'll say it's very nearly perfect for what it is.
Yeah.
What are the things?
I think it's in that. Yeah, it's like for what it is an A movie, A minus.
Yeah.
Movie for what it is.
Yes.
I think the biggest thing I like. The consistency of like what the worm can do throws me a little bit because it destroys everything except for a rock.
Yeah.
And houses, but it can eat cars.
Well, it can kind of destroy houses.
But like it didn't. It shakes them.
Yeah.
You know, and I just didn't understand why they like keep running into the house. The house breaks the tension for so much of the movie. It's like we gotta get back to that house. Not even said like that, but it's like, we're cutting on the tension. We're back in the house. We're like dabbing the blood from the lady's knee. It's like, this is our safe space. They can't get us. Why? It's wood.
Yeah, but then they realize they can.
But they don't.
No,
like,
I know.
You know
It's like the bug is in on the building of suspense.
Right.
Like they're in on the joke. We're like, okay. First we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make them think
We
it's
will let
fine.
them think.
And then we're gonna bust through.
To your defense, they do make a point of the bug like learning.
That's true.
So to your point, maybe that was by design. Like they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they're like, when they destroy a car and it seems like they ripped through everything, that thing went through cement. Like it just didn't make it.
Yeah.
But this rickety old wooden whatever, like that are just like, how is this safe?
Well, and even the rock thing, which made sense to me as a kid,
it also doesn't make
makes
a lot of
little
sense.
less sense now. Because some of those rocks aren't that big. Like some of those ones they got on were large, sure. But like they took down that dozer, because they like planted a trap. Like it seems like if you can control, you could just go around underneath of that rock and at least make it sag into the ground.
Yeah, there's things you can, that just felt, that felt very convenient. Whatever they needed to happen at that time needed to happen. The pole vaulting is another like very convenient.
The pole vaulting.
Oh, these rocks are perfectly spread apart. There happens to be these perfectly shaped pole vaults here. Like why? And we're in the desert. Like
I always wanted at least
silly.
one time when they plant the pole to at least show me the ground race, so that these things are like aware of what's happening. Because that's what I always wonder. Like, okay, he's tapping the stick and it comes right up, and now you're tapping it. And you're also trying to make the point that these worms are like pretty smart.
Right.
So like if you're getting, pattern, like one time, the last one should have like gotten
should like sink
jammed
into
or something. Yeah, nitpicky.
But
yes. There's a little inconsistency with that stuff.
With that. That's the biggest thing with these fear-based movies is I need to know what I'm afraid of and how.
Yeah.
Oh, the tension is building because they know that they can't do that or they can do that or they can smell you, they can see you, they can hear you, blah, blah, blah. How pissed, I'll ask you this, how pissed are the creators of this film when A Quiet Place is so successful?
I don't think
Because
there's
isn't
that
it
much
just
parallel.
kind of Tremors without things going under?
No, I have a hotter
ground?
take.
Okay.
But no.
Spicy?
I don't think so. Because I think what makes A Quiet Place special is the gimmick that most of the movie is silent. And I call it a gimmick, but I don't mean it like that. It's just like a super creative, scary way to do things. That was really genius, I think. I think my hot take, I think they're more pissed that 3 years later, Jurassic Park is such a huge success.
Do you think this movie's on par with Jurassic Park?
I don't think this movie is that much worse than Jurassic Park. Like, I think...
That's a bold...
I know. But I don't think...
Do you at home agree? Do you agree?
No one's going to agree.
Who agrees?
Don't fuck up my focus. They're not going to agree because people really love Jurassic Park.
People adore
And
Jurassic Park.
I really like Jurassic Park. It's a great time. It's a great... the way we talk about Tremors. It's a great popcorn.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too much because Jurassic Park, they're getting mad.
The views are dropping.
Jurassic Park has a lot of issues. Like if you really go back and watch, there's some like glaring, like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Okay, that's kind of stupid. It's wonderfully fun. And there are some iconic moments.
Yes.
But to me, Tremors does most of, if not all, the same things correct that Jurassic Park does. So to me, they're not as far as I bet some people probably think. Like Tremors is this kind of beloved cult classic over the course of years, decades. Jurassic Park is one of the most monumental successes that came out in the early 90s, changed the way we looked at special effects. Like everyone loves it. They're not that far apart. That's my hot take.
I'm coming around a little bit based on what you're saying, because as I was watching the movie, I was also thinking like it's a fun kind of smaller scale movie.
Yeah.
You know, they found a way to close the roads and the telephones, like very convenient, but still, hey, we're trapped in this little.
You can buy it,
and you just go along. Again, it does a good job of making me go along with it.
Yeah.
It's just a small scale story. So. But in essence, it is very similar as a stripped down version of Jurassic Park. So is the difference the spectacle and the effects? Because at that time, that was a big deal. Making those dinosaurs come to life at that time was revelatory.
Yes, that is a major difference. And also and we would be remiss to not probably acknowledge that Steven Spielberg is probably a better director than Ron Underwood. No disrespect to Ron Underwood.
How dare you?
Who does a great job? He does a great job.
But
I mean, there's a lot of elements
there are things that are
there.
better. I'm trying to not bail you out. I'm trying to. I see your point.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here being like Tremors is better than Jurassic Park publicly. It's how I feel inside. But I just I think Jurassic Park is like what Tremors could/should have been. Like it's weird that Tremors wasn't more successful than it was.
But I'm saying if you just if you took the dinosaurs and the effects and how that was made and just strip that stuff away, strip away a little bit of the sizzle, is it closer to, that's what I'm trying to, is that the biggest gap of success?
I think that's a huge part of it. I also think the other thing that Jurassic Park had going for it was that people know dinosaurs and people love dinosaurs.
I mean, it's a dinosaur.
I mean, people do.
And
love
so
dinosaurs.
to watch a movie for really the first time with like great effects of these creatures that you know and that everyone has some connection with, like come alive, like because what a fear, what a childhood, wonderful, thrilling fear that the dinosaurs that you learn about are alive and attacking humans. Like that couldn't be beat.
So did Spielberg ever see this movie and you just think he just ripped it off?
100%. Steven Spielberg, hack, ripped off the GOAT, Ron Underwood. Printed, TikTok.
We out here.
What other nitpicks? What other nitpicks you got, you son of a bitch?
Son of a bitch.
No, that's a nitpick. One of the worst performances I've ever seen. Not in totality, but like moments of performance.
Are you gonna say Melvin?
No.
The kid? The basketball?
He is tough. He's tough. Boy, did I want him to die.
Yeah, I know. Really disappointed in that.
Yeah, like I want that kid to get eaten. No, when they're all, I forget the character's name, but they're all reacting, I forget even to what.
I feel like where this is going.
Yes.
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 This
and
is
then
one of
that
mine, too.
weird neighbor was like, yeah. Like, it's like he's never been happy before.
The guy that gets eaten in the tire?
Yes.
Where he's like, all right.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Like, that's.
When I was just watching it again, Monique was like,
It was the worst thing, because I don't think, I don't know what that was. Like, I don't think that was like a joke.
No,
I don't think it's played for laughs. I don't think that's like his character. I think that guy just doesn't know how to control his body or understand that emotion.
It's a symptom of a larger problem, because that's a theme throughout the film, is that almost every character celebrating is like so over the top.
Yes! Yes!
Like when they get the.
But that's not even over the top. Like
No,
that's
it
not
is.
over the top.
It's some guy that's just maxed out. Like where the director's just like, just be as happy as you've ever been. He's
More! More!
Yeah. Like when they get on the dozer at the end and they pick up the trailer and maybe like people are jumping in or something and they're happy and then and Finn Carter, the Rhonda, the girl, jumps down and she's like gets in the cab with Kevin Bacon and she's like, yeah. Like it's so much.
I do remember that part too.
Yeah. And it's like, and then after this like pattern of happening, and it's like, oh, every time somebody like gets excited in this movie, it's like bad.
Yeah,
like, it's like aliens pretending to be humans.
Yeah.
So that was one of my nitpicks too.
Yeah, that guy. I was like, this is the worst acting I've ever seen.
Way to go, dude.
Way to go, dude.
Yeah, it's rough.
Oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's
funny. You covered all my nitpicks too, so we said similar ones.
Great.
Yeah, look at us.
Yeah.
Sharing tastes.
It's the first time for everything.
Well, and probably just in passing here, mention the fact that this film has spawned 6 sequels.
Is it 6?
I believe it's 6 additional films.
So
there's 7 total.
There's 7 total. Yeah, I knew it was up there.
And the original sequel, Aftershocks, is the only one I've seen. And when I was a kid, I didn't hate it. You know, like I knew it wasn't great, but has Fred Ward coming back and Michael Gross. And the Tremors evolve so that there's like little versions that can walk that almost look like little mini raptors with those beak faces.
Yeah.
And that's all I really remember about it. Like I remember it's like corny and then I was reading about all these sequels and was really interested to see that Aftershocks, that first sequel, was actually pretty well regarded. Like comparatively, there was several reviewers calling it probably the best direct-to-video sequel ever made. Like
that's high praise.
That's kind of high praise, you know. Like it's setting the bar really well.
Yeah.
But it's like that was cool. And then I read all the plots of like the additional ones, and I was just, oh my god. But what I thought was really interesting was the third one, the third film in the series, the second sequel. I think it's called Back to Perfection, and
that's the title.
That's the title, and it's Michael Gross moving back to the town Perfection. And most of the other characters from the first one return. So Melvin, same actor, grown up. Miguel, the Mexican dude. The mom and the little girl. The little girl all grown up.
All grown up.
Yeah. Fresh off of Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's the Jurassic Park.
I believe that's the little girl from Jurassic Park.
Interesting.
The hacker.
I'm not a computer nerd. I prefer to be called a hacker.
She knows which one's better. She came back for the, I guess she came back for the Lost World for a cameo too. Damn it. But then, like, I read they killed Miguel, so I was pissed about that. They ate Miguel. But I also read in the third one, it introduces a third strain of evolution, which are called ass blasters.
Ass blasters?
Because they can fly based on their flatulence.
Okay.
So it's like...
So we're at Sharknado.
So we've dropped...
We're at Sharknado
completely.
Now.
And then, so I really was like, oh my God.
And
like,
the name
thank
is
God.
Ass Blasters.
Yeah, because like Gross, that character Bert, calls them that. He names all these. And then in the future one, there's a queen. They call it the queen bitch. So then you like read through all these, and it's just, oh my God. Like I would have not made it to past Ass Blasters if I had ever watched the third one. So I'm happy to just ignore it.
I wish I was on the writing team. We're just like, imagine being in that room.
Oh no,
like,
you would be in that. Yeah.
What do we call these people? Butt blogs.
What would be really cool? Ass, but in all seriousness, this is the kind of film that I wish I could, that I had the access to the rights. Like, just let me take a shot at a script for the sequel now.
Oh, sure.
Because I read, and I had no idea about this, which I thought was really interesting. In 2018, they shot a pilot for a series, a Tremors series, starring Kevin Bacon.
No shit.
Returning to the role, which I never thought he would have done.
Yeah.
And no one picked it up.
What?
Yeah.
With all the horse shit that's out there, that this doesn't.
That's what I read.
With Kevin Bacon attached, like Kevin Bacon agreeing to do it to me is like the thing that you're like, fuck it.
And apparently he says now, like, I want to do another film. Let's do a theatrical Tremors again.
Wow.
Sequel. And like that, like I'm just like chomping at the bit.
Yeah,
like,
please.
Just give me a shot.
Yeah.
Like I'd write the script just without the shot, but then you're wasting all this time. I got too many things to do. Like I just don't, like it's just such a bummer. It's like Turtles or it's like Beverly Hills Cop. Like these things I really loved as a kid. Like let me write that next version.
Did you write Beverly Hills Cop 4?
That was the first script I ever wrote.
But this one that's coming out?
No.
You're not part of it?
No.
Oh.
They've probably lifted, I assume, some of my lines from previous scripts urban comedies that I've written. I have a lot floating around out there.
Nigga, when I was upstate, I read books.
Yeah.
Nigga, I got my education together. I talked to the Lord.
Jesus.
Oh, we have to talk about the greatest, I've said this before in a past episode, I think, the greatest camera reveal of all time. That scene is so
funny.
incredible.
It is very funny.
That scene is incredible.
It's really funny. It's not. Do you think it's supposed to be played for laughs? Should we tell people what?
Yes, of course. The reveal of the tremor crashing into Bert Gummer and his, I forget her first name, Reba. Into their basement where they're down there, which is just a great scene from start to finish, where it slowly pans back. They're like shooting, and then it slowly pans back to reveal this wall, this armory.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And what I love about this movie is that, like, it works.
It does. It does.
Like, you know what? They have a shitload of guns,
yeah,
and it works. And they just keep getting stronger and stronger until he breaks out an elephant gun. And you're just like, oh yeah. Sometimes the simplest solution works.
Yeah. Well, but to your point, to just how we got here and why that pan works is because of the legwork it does, the film does before it to develop those characters.
Yes.
And it's bit by bit, and you really learn why it's important to these characters to have this underground bunker, and they're preparing for World War III, and like this, it's not just a cheap gag, or it's like, where do all these fucking guns come from, or an excuse for violence. It's who these people are, and we've developed that for an hour.
Like, exactly.
That's why I can buy that, and it goes from like, oh man, cool, that's how it's received, versus like, what the fuck is this?
Like,
where did these fucking guns come from? Why do they just have this? That, boy, is that convenient. It's not convenient because of the legwork that they like. That's the difference.
It's the natural progression of their characters.
Correct.
That you learn that. Yeah. It's fantastic.
But I wonder if there's like, is that meant to be a joke? Do you think that's?
I think in that moment it is supposed to be like,
humorous.
it's supposed to be both. It's supposed to be cool. And it's supposed to be like, oh fuck.
Because that's what it is. It does hit like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
man.
they're about to do this.
Yeah.
And it pays it off. Like again, it pays it off. And it's also this great example of like an ensemble of characters coming together that all have kind of different strengths. Yeah. And you always love that. It's almost like that heist film. Like, gotta get the team back together. Hey, that guy's the brain, that guy's the brawn, that guy's the this, that guy's the bomb specialist. Like, and you kind of have a smaller version of that with all of these characters, which I think is really valuable.
Agreed.
I'll also just say, like, we can kind of close maybe on like the kind of horror aspects of it we should touch on. Like, I think it does a really excellent job. It's the second thing it does so well of straddling the line of being really funny in a lot of parts, and also like scary and kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite shots to that end, which I read afterwards was just an accident. They had to out of necessity, which is another great example of like the Jaws thing, where it's like they were going to show the shark throughout the whole movie, but they couldn't afford it. And it's like, oh, he's a genius.
He's a genius.
But the shot of when it sucks down the station wagon of the doctor and his wife, which is a horribly sad scene. As I get older, I really feel for people. Like, I don't enjoy watching people die anymore.
That scene in particular.
Yeah, we're like, these fucking poor people.
Yeah.
Like, it just really like hurts me.
Yeah.
I've become very soft in my older age. But that shot, because then as she gets sucked under, and then it cuts to just this wide shot of the night sky with the two, and then one of them kind of fades away, and then the other one kind of fades away. Like, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess they only did that because they had this whole, they wanted to show the whole car getting sucked under, and the mechanisms got gummed up or whatever. Like, that's happy accident.
I think there are a handful of good shots.
Yeah.
I think they're like good shots, memorable shots.
Yeah.
I really like the POV of the bug or whatever the fuck it's called.
Graboid.
Snakeoid. I like Snakeoid.
We're gonna be sorry you don't give it a name.
That POV that they didn't overuse it. I think they used it enough. I think they waited at the right time to introduce it. And then I liked how it evolved, because then you saw it go underground. I thought that was really nice. That shot, that sort of poetic shot, metaphorical shot with the two lights of the car blinking out. There was a really the again, I think it was silly what was happening, but the shot of the three of them pole vaulting at the same time, timed out perfectly. Like, there were some really nice complementary shots to add to the art of this film. Again, I sound like I'm putting this film on such a pedestal, but
comparatively,
but there are really just like effort and nice attempts. Like a clear attempt to make a quality film, and I respect it for it.
It's all very competent. Yeah. And again, that we said that before in other movies, and it sounds like an insult, like, oh, it's competent. It's not. Everything is very competent. There are no like huge misses, which in this kind of film you would almost kind of expect. Where a lot of reviewers at the time that enjoyed it said like, this is really, it's like a B movie done perfectly.
Yeah.
Like it's the best version of those kind of B monster movies.
Yeah.
You go, you have a great time, you're scared. And then you leave happy.
And then you leave happy. Everyone, they win. That's
great time.
Yeah. Do we the last thing? Do we need to? Should we address the robes at all, or?
I think they understand.